This is Marie Simon from the Luxmama Club and ParentPrep asbl. We are a non-profit association established to raise awareness on birth rights, perinatal mood disorders, and ecological or green parenting through a wide range of social and educational activities in Luxembourg. And we are currently raising awareness on the evidence-based benefits of birth doulas for families, as well as parents' rights in obtaining such services in Luxembourg maternity care. So we are here today with expecting mom and busy mompreneur Angelique Supka. She's also the founder of Mint Mouse, the co-founder of the Unicorner Concept Store, and co-founder of Mompreneurs Luxembourg. Hi, Angelique. Thanks so much for sharing your experience with us today about trying to hire a birth doula here in Luxembourg.
Hi, Maurice. It's a pleasure. I only hope that it might help other parents in the future.
Thank you. Can you please tell us how you initially found out about the concept of birth doulas and why you wanted to hire a birth doula for your upcoming birth? And just to protect the privacy of the individuals, we will not mention the name of the hospital and care providers that you've been communicating with.
Yes, of course. So for the second pregnancy, I have a different doctor than the first time, and he works also with another hospital. So many novelties for me are always scary. I'm generally scared of doctors and hospitals and would love to be able to give birth at home in the most natural way possible. But since I understand the risks that may bring, and my husband is also pushing for it, I'm at peace with giving birth in the hospital close to all the facilities in case something would go wrong.
Yes, understandably.
However, I still want to give birth naturally. And for me, the most important thing is to know that people in the hospital, so the people that you're completely dependent on when giving birth, will support you in this, make you feel as comfortable as possible. So I would almost forget that I'm in a hospital.
Yes, of course, that's the ideal scenario.
So I'm spending lots of time and effort preparing for this birth, as I did the first time too. But since when going into the hospital, at the end, you never know who will be attending your birth, stand by your side, how they stand against natural birth, and whether they will understand your wishes and how important they are to you. It's hard to anticipate or prepare for this part, which makes me very uncertain.
Okay.
I knew about birth doulas in general, but learned more about the whole concept through your campaign, actually, and I was very happy to learn that there are actually birth doulas practicing in Luxembourg. The thought of having someone stand by you, whom you already know, trust, and has the only goal to support you through this journey with her experience, knowledge, and remind you to be strong when you have a weaker moment, that would exactly solve the problem for me of that uncertainty.
Okay, and that's a very good way to help you, to remind you to be strong and take away any uncertainties that you have. And so then in the end, was it easy for you to hire a doula, and how did that process work?
Yes, in general, very easy. We got in touch with her, and then together with my husband, we had a meeting where she explained us her role exactly, and we discussed our wishes and expectations. And at that point, she mentioned already that she attended over 50 births in her home country, but none yet in Luxembourg, as this is quite a new concept here and it might not be welcomed by everyone. We didn't think much of it, and we didn't see a problem at all why we would not be able to have her there with us.
Yes, exactly. And so when she explained, just for interest's sake, for the listeners to clarify, when she explained her role, she explained that her role is completely a non-medical role, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's really important. And so sometimes people can misunderstand that, and that's why we can face some resistance in some cases. And so in the end, then did you notify your care provider, which in your case was an obstetrician? Did you notify him or her about your decision to hire a birth doula? And what was his or her reaction? Was he familiar with the concept and so on?
Yes, of course. We immediately told him. The moment that we hired her, I mentioned it to the doctor, and he didn't really understand the whole concept. He has never even heard of it, but he had no problem with it whatsoever if that was my wish. He just said that probably that's more something to discuss with the hospital rather than himself. But if the hospital agrees to it, he's totally fine with it. He supports me, and that was it.
Okay. Okay, so that's already one step closer, and it's amazing to have a supportive obstetrician. So, but in the end, it seemed that he did not have the final say in adding your preferences to your birth plan. So you still had to clear the request with the hospital management. And so tell us about that process, and did you manage in the end to get everybody on board?
No, unfortunately not. So I went to see the hospital midwives, as the doctor suggested, to explain and ask basically how I should proceed to put this in my birth plan. And the reaction was immediately quite negative, mentioning that they had other women in the past requesting the same, and that the management had decided that doulas would not be accepted at the hospital. But they still accepted my request, and they said they will try to bring it on board their superiors for me.
Okay, that's interesting.
Unfortunately, the outcome was still the same, so they confirmed to me afterwards that the answer was still no. So I talked about it with my doctor. I told him, and he was still very supportive and said that, oh, don't worry, I'll try to talk to the head of the midwives and check if something can be done. Unfortunately, he got exactly the same answer as well.
Oh, okay.
So the reason, or it came down to the fact that the hospital policy allows only one person with you at the delivery. So it was not exactly that they had something against the birth doula being there, but I would have to choose between either having my husband there or the birth doula. And for me, that would not be an option at all.
Of course, obviously you want your supportive partner there because he is part of the experience.
Yes, so this whole situation started to be a bit stressful to me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm already scared of doctors and hospitals, and the last thing I want to do is to start a hostile relationship with the hospital staff, being seen as a pain, as I will soon be in their hands in a very vulnerable position while I give birth. And I still want this delivery or this whole experience to be positive.
Of course.
So know that it's my right, and theoretically I don't need the permission. I did drop the subject at that moment just to focus on the positive rather than on the negative.
Okay, I see.
I still don't really understand why the hospital has such a policy. So far, no one was able to explain to me exactly, aside from the fact that it's just hospital policy and the decision comes from the management, so that means there is no discussion possible.
That sounds very, very interesting. It sounds like you came across a lot of resistance, and this for something that can really be only beneficial to everybody. Plus, keeping in mind that it is in the end your birth, so choosing your labor companions should technically be up to you. And so how did it make you feel when they told you that you should choose between your partner or your doula? Do you think this is fair?
No, not at all. At first, I was mostly surprised, but I guess the feeling is disappointed that no one should really have to choose between their husband or the birth doula. And since I'm due very soon, I know that in any case, an option for me anymore this time. But I do really hope that this will change in the future for other expecting parents who wish to hire a birth doula, and that their wish would be accepted without struggle or negative reactions to it.
Okay.
There is a reason why the concept of birth doulas exists, that it is so widely used in many other countries, that there are studies made and positive results are proven. So I do feel really sad for women like me who don't even get a chance to get this support if they wish to. Luxembourg has such good standards in general, with great facilities, good hospitals, very good doctors, specialists, etc. So that I don't really understand the reasoning.
I can totally understand how you must feel, and I agree 100% with you. This should not be happening. As you said, it's within your rights. Article 8 of the EU Convention on Human Rights say, and we are part of the EU, it says that women have the right to choose the circumstances of their birth. And we know that also this includes choosing their own birth companions. So also per legal advice that we've received, we know that there's nothing explicitly in local law that says families cannot enjoy birth doula support. And when you go back to the beginning of time, women have been supported by other women that they trust and know and specifically choose to join their sacred birth circle. And so as much as we really love and know how skilled and loving the midwives in the hospitals are, we know that they cannot sit by each birthing woman's side 100% of the time. And they just have too much to do, too many clinical tasks and too many clients to deal with. And furthermore, they do change shifts. Doulas do not change shifts. She's with you during your whole birth. And on the other hand, you may not click with the midwife that you are assigned to when you come to the hospital. And this can totally affect your birth experience. And so, furthermore, families in Luxembourg do not have really other alternatives. So we don't have birth centers or midwifery-led units where low-risk women, typically 85% of births we know are low risk, where low-risk women can go for a more gentle, uninterrupted, and a less interventionist birth experience, like in many, many countries. We do not have that in Luxembourg, and the other alternative to a hospital birth will be a home birth. But it's not really officially financed by the state here, and we really do not have enough skilled home birth midwives to make it more accessible. And so we are very sad to hear that families are now being told to choose between having the dad in the delivery room or hiring the birth doula, especially since the role of a birth doula is to empower the mom and dad to work together to have a positive experience. We've been excluding dads so much from the perinatal experiences in our society, and we are asking so much from them to support mom during labor without giving them the skills, encouragement, and support that they also need to feel empowered through this experience. So I really, really feel for your experience, Angelique, and thank you so much for being willing to share it with us. Do you have any final comments that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Not really. I think all important things are said. I just would like to thank you for creating this movement, Maurice. I think it's very courageous. I know it's never easy to create change, even if that change seems so obvious to many of us. So I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Angelique. If you would like to follow or support our campaign, simply type into your browser #ChoiceToHaveADoula, where you will be directed to our website with extensive resources and information on the topic. This was Marie Simon from the Luxmama Club and ParentPrep ASBL, speaking with Angelique Supka for Choices to Have a Doula.